Okay, so you are not overreacting. It might feel like you are, and it may even look like you are, but that's not what's actually happening. So let's look at a real life situation. For example, you get a text message or an email, or someone looks at you a certain way, or in a conversation, there's just this small shift, and suddenly your whole system inside feels loud, right? Your chest tightens and your mind starts filling in all these gaps of, oh my gosh, what just happened? What did they say? You replay it again and again and again, and then differently, and then again, right? And you just go into this tailspin and you're trying to figure it out. What did they mean? What did it mean? What did you do? What does this mean about the relationship? What does it mean about you? And at some point in all of that activity, you catch yourself and you think, why am I reacting like this? Like, this is too much. So now it's not just your reaction, it's you reacting to your reaction or even judging your reaction. And that's what we usually call overreacting. Okay, but let's look at that, because this isn't about a situation being too small or insignificant. It's actually about you feeling disconnected from ground. What I mean by that is the ground of your being. And I want to share, that's not frou-frou or fluff, right? A lot of people think, oh, ground of your being. That's about as hardcore as you could possibly get. That's where world-class athletes live. It's where master musicians perform from, and artists are able to like express and create things that are so very different than what actually they see around them, right? And every person has this ground of being. It's a foundation of who we are, but we lose touch with it. And we're going to go into how you can work with that, okay? Because when you're grounded, something very different happens. So welcome back. I'm Leeza Steindorf. I'm an international consultant. I'm a Forbes executive coach. I work with leaders and individuals to find more clarity, to feel more comfortable, to make strong decisions and be at ease with themselves as they move through their world and through their professions. So when we talk about that groundedness, you still feel and you still notice things. You care, but it doesn't take you out. You don't get lost in events, even in crises, right? Which a lot of leaders, top leaders, have to deal with constantly. But you can stay centered. You don't get pulled into trying to solve or fix or interpret or manage things, but you're still able to respond, right? You take in all that information, but you stay here. And from here, from right where you are, things get much clearer, right? So right now what's happening isn't that you're too sensitive at all. It's that your system is trying to reorient, and it doesn't have a stable place to do that from. It's like if you've ever been on a river that has an eddy, right? And either you start swimming in the eddy, or if you're on a canoe and it starts spinning because it's part of that disturbance. And you start reaching and thinking and analyzing and looking to land somewhere is what you're really trying to do. And thinking doesn't ground you. And that's what we usually reach toward, is I can think myself out of this. No, it just keeps you moving. And the more you try and resolve things from there, the further you drift or get confused into it. And that's why things escalate. Not because it's big, but because you're not located, you're not anchored in yourself. So just like on that river, if you're in an eddy, right? If you have something to hold on to, if there is an anchor below you that'll lock you into a certain space, you're not going to go anywhere. You're not going to get lost in that. So instead of asking, why am I like this? Or what's wrong with me? And I'm overreacting and I always do this. And there's no judgment that you do that. We all do things like that to ourselves, but we're changing patterns here, right? So here's something to try, something simpler. Take a pause. I often talk about POP. Pause, observe, proceed. So pause for a moment. And it's not to fix anything. And it's also not to calm yourself down at all. It's to notice. Where are you right now? Not mentally, but physically. Like, how is your breathing? What is your body feeling right now? Where are your feet? What are your hands doing? How fast is your breath? So you're just noticing. This isn't a technique. But that noticing, that observing is literally your way back to finding your own ground, to finding your center. Because this moment, before you react, before you start explaining and deciding and all those things, coming here to this ground, this is where everything really shifts. It sounds so nonsensical because we think we have to think our way out of it, but when we can ground in our physical reality just for a minute, it's like recalibrating our system. Yeah, and something really quiet happens. You don't lose the feeling and you don't shut down anything, but that experience stops being in charge. It stops running the show. You're not at the mercy of what's going on. Okay? Suddenly, you don't need to send that message right away. And you don't feel that urge to figure it all out right now. You don't have to make it mean something about you or even about the other person. But there's space. Like you can just take a breath for a minute. And from that space, that's actually where you can start to separate from what you added to it. It's where you can come, I talk a lot about fact versus filter, right? When we take that moment, we pause and we observe, then we can feel the tangible reality around us, the physical reality of what is ours through our senses. And then whatever we're dealing with mentally, emotionally, even spiritually, it gains clarity. Yeah? And when we don't have to push harder and we don't have to think more, we can be. And we've learned to distrust actually being. We have become to idolize, I'm going to say, thinking. It's a thinking mind. And I actually use the term that I'm a recovering intellect because I used to think that thinking was so important, like it was the God of all things. It's not so. It's not so. It's our being. And we have our thinking at our disposal to use. So different perspective. Try it on. See how it fits. Try this pause when you feel like you're in that overwhelm and you feel like you're overreacting. You're really not. You're trying to find your way back to yourself from a place where you lost your footing or where you're in that tailspin. And then the moment that you return, even if it's just a little bit, things start to organize differently. They calm of their own accord without you having to calm it, right? So just coming to who you already are and being who you already are helps you organize things without you having to do anything. It's a very different perspective, but it's a very cool one. So try it on. I can guarantee you, if I could have overcome the obstacles that I've had and get out of those tailspins, because I lived in tailspin most of my young adulthood, if I could find my way out of that, anybody can. Okay? So if this landed with you, stay with the series. We've got a couple more coming, but this is where we start. Not by fixing yourself. There's nothing to fix at all. You are good and whole just the way you are. And that's why you get to return to where you are and to who you are. And from there, everything gets a whole lot simpler. Try it out. Thanks for listening. Until next time, be well.